Yo, what is up YouTube? It is Kami here, and today we're talking about the Finalmouse Centerpiece Pro Drama. If you guys don't know what that keyboard is, here's a picture of it. You've probably seen it around. Basically, it is a keyboard with a screen, with Hall effect, and it has had a bunch of delays, and we'll just be diving into why I'm even mentioning it, the whole reasoning on why it keeps getting delayed, and kind of the history of it, just everything you need to know, and just my thoughts in general about this entire fiasco. Now, first off, I just kind of want to talk about why I'm even mentioning all of this. So the other day I was on Twitter and I find this tweet from this guy called Cager. He basically posts a screenshot of one of the Finalmouse employees basically making this long kind of I don't know if it's a copy pasta or what it is, but basically the post says it's we only make the keyboard for people who are willing to wait. Anyone that isn't willing to wait, you know, you can basically go F yourself is what they're saying. Can't really say that word on YouTube, right? So that is basically what they say. And this kind of incites a storm, right? People were already angry. This kind of spread to other Discords. People came to their own conclusions, and someone even chimed in. The CEO of G-Wolves, I'd like to say he's the CEO of G-Wolves. This is Jim. He basically says, as much respect as I have for the brand, this is a bunch of horse s. False moral superiority, rebranding delay dressed up as destiny, innovation excuse fallacy, customer blaming undertone, vagueness on production reality, and empty rhetoric over substance. He had quite some choice words for Finalmouse themselves. Now this is a big deal because this is another pretty big player in the enthusiast peripheral space. Finalmouse already has a bad reputation as a whole. Even when I cover their mice or make reviews for their mice, I'll get people that are hating on me for even owning the mouse, right? So they have a pretty bad outlook on them already. Now this also, I really got triggered, but not because of this specific screenshot. The main thing that annoys me about Finalmouse and this whole drama are the delays. The worst part by far. I'm basically put into the last wave. The keyboard was meant to come out in 3 waves. I'm put into the very last wave, and I was actually supposed to get my keyboard in September of 2025, right? And I bought the keyboard in January of 2025, the 31st, right? So the end of January, basically 1 year after this video was made, is when I bought my keyboard. This is absolutely insane. Now, we kind of have to go into the history of this keyboard, right? Why is this such a long process, and why is this so complicated, and what does the future hold? Okay, so first off, this board was originally announced in 2022. They advertised it with a mouse called the Last Legend. It was a Magnesium Starlight 12. And that mouse, if you bought it, you basically got a code that would give you exclusive access to the keyboard. You're like, oh my God, I need to buy this mouse so I can get the keyboard to put anime girls on it, right? Or whatever you want to put, my dog or my wife or my family or whatever you want to put on it. I needed to buy that mouse in order to access that keyboard. So then they said the keyboard would release in 2023. And then they delayed it. And then said, no, it'll come out late 2023, and then it never came out in late 2023, and then they delayed it to 2025, released a revamped version called the Centerpiece Pro. This is me summarizing it as fast as I can because I know people have attention span disorders, and then now that leads us to where we are here. People basically bought it up in 2025. Some people used their Last Legend codes. Some people got random codes from a bot on the Finalmouse Discord server. If you just owned a certain amount of mice, you didn't even need to buy the other mice from before, like the Last Legend, the Pegasus. If you just owned enough Finalmouse mice, you could then buy the keyboard. The craziest thing about this is the bot was generating multiple codes. There were people who got multiple codes and would just give them to their friends that didn't even own a product. So basically what Finalmouse did is they created a market for these codes, made them seem so exclusive and needed, and then turns out they were void. You don't even need them. There's just ways to get these products without this stuff, right? And the craziest thing about all this is literally repeating in front of everybody's eyes with the compensation prize and also the key that they provided with their newest mouse release called the Frost Lord. Basically, they make a bunch of deadlines and they miss every single deadline every single time. They give you specific dates, and then on that date they're like, you know what, we're gonna have shipping today, we're gonna send shipping emails out today, we're gonna print labels today, we're gonna do all this stuff today. So you basically go, you know, your day ends, you look at your Gmail, there's nothing there. You're like, what's going on? Then they say, you know what, oh no, it's tomorrow guys, my bad, not today, it's tomorrow. You go, you check your email, it's not there. It's literally the equivalent of waiting for an e-transfer that never comes from like a boy that owes you money for like food from back in the day, or like, you know, some friend that like took a loan. It never comes back, right? And the craziest thing about this is there's gonna be someone in my comments who be like, oh, why don't you just refund the keyboard, right? Why don't you just refund it, bro? If you want your money, why don't you just refund it? Here's why. the refund thing is an entire cope, and I'm going to go into it. The reason why the refund thing is an entire cope is because if you are somebody that doesn't reside within the United States and you purchased this keyboard using a different currency that is weaker than the United States dollar, or with a credit card that gets charged with a foreign transaction fee, which a lot do, you end up losing money. So now, if you wait an entire year, you haven't got your board, and now you cancel the board, you actually lose money for waiting. You lose money for waiting for your keyboard that you got fed up of waiting for because of all these fees. And they're not entitled to refund you these fees because they're bank fees. They're nothing to do with Finalmouse themselves. They're not entitled to refund you that at all. People are freaking out over this screenshot of AK, and I think he's just kind of trolling here. Of course, it is still very weird for a staff member, like not a staff member, but like a literal employee of the company to be writing this into the chat when people are already very frustrated. It's not very, you know, very nice to your consumers. You're assuming everyone is just on this wavelength of like, they can understand that you're joking. But even if you are joking, you shouldn't be joking, okay? So Final Boy has made many remarks. He has already said, should I tease Centerpiece 2? Or is it too early for that? Well, a bunch of people in the Discord are waiting. He's also released, for the people that have somehow gotten their boards, and this kind of goes to the whether or not this board is reliable, okay? Because I'm diving more into stuff about this keyboard, is they released a firmware update for SOCD. And if you guys don't know what SOCD is, it's like the most basic thing that any HE keyboard can have. It basically allows you to have perfect strafes in video game, last input priority. There's a bunch of different functions you can make it have, but essentially, if you hold down A, you'll keep going left, but if you then press D, you'll go right, and then if you let go of D, you go left, and vice versa. It's like the way it works. And it basically just allows you to have really insane movement in games that allow it. In Counter-Strike, you'll get kicked off the servers if you try to use it, but like in Overwatch, it's very good. In Apex, you can do some cool stuff with it. Just a whole bunch of games that can utilize SOCD. But why am I mentioning that their keyboard cannot use SOCD properly? Because they released a firmware, and the SOCD came with the firmware, but it's broken. It doesn't even work. So now we have a performance board. So for the people that have the keyboard, they can't even fully utilize basic functions that $30 Chinese keyboards have off Amazon, right? So what does this say about Finalmouse? So they can't ship their keyboards on time. They can't nail down their ULX after like a billion batches of the same mouse, rattling sensors. They cope it on weather issues, on why on why the rattling sensor happened. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but they just basically just have a cope excuse for everything, even though no other company has that problem. Never had a rattling sensor from another company during the winter. They always have some sort of cope for why their products are inferior or why there's a certain problem. They're never owning up to it. There's never any accountability at all. And yeah, I could keep going and rambling for like the rest of this video, but I think I'm just gonna leave you guys with a little like montage of just Final Boy being a clown, and like and subscribe, and that's really all I have to say.